Hi! Before you start following any of our particle effect tutorials, there are a couple of things you want to set up in your project. First thing you want to do is check the link in the description to download a sprite sheet that looks like this. So this is just a library of particle effect sprites that we'll be using for a lot of our particle effect tutorials. These sprites are from Kenney's particle pack, which you can find by googling Kenney particle pack. Actually, you can just download the sprite sheet in the link in the description below. Well, you can donate to Kenney as well if you want to support him, because he's created a lot of free assets for a lot of us game developers, and any one of us can use it without having to credit him. So great help to anyone who is aspiring to make games at a low cost. So once you've downloaded the particle sprite sheet, you want to make sure to slice these sprites as well, because you'll be using them for a lot of our particle effect tutorials. You want to make sure to set the texture type to sprite, set the sprite mode to multiple, and then just slice grid by cell count 10 by 10, and then this will slice the sprite sheets into a list of 95 sprites. So once you've done that, the next thing you want to do is to create a couple of different materials for your particle system. This applies to the built-in render pipeline and the URP, the universal render pipeline. If you're using HDRP, then I'm sorry, this guide is not going to help you very much, because you will have to. The rules for creating particle effect materials are totally different from the built-in render pipeline or the HDRP. So maybe we'll create another video to guide you through, but for now, this guide only covers the built-in render pipeline and the URP, which is the universal render pipeline. So if you look at this generic particle system I've created, okay, what I've done here is I've created a particle effect for fire, and you'll realize that by using the default particle material, if you scroll all the way down in the particle system and open up renderer, you'll find that the default particle material doesn't work very well. Alright, but if I use a different material here, you will see this fire looks a lot better. So you will have to do a little bit of tweaking to get the particle effect to show up. So I'm gonna show you how you can create the materials to create nicer particle effects like this. Okay, so the default particle effect doesn't really work. Alright, it looks very dull, right? Okay, but when I change to the additive material, you will see everything brightens up. And a lot of particle effects will have to use this material. So this is how you create an additive material, first in the built-in render pipeline. So let's go to create, and then let's go to material, and just name the material additive or additive particle or something that you can easily recognize. You want to go to particles, standard unlit, and then here you want to select additive followed by additive. Okay, and then you want to assign here just the default particle texture. And what this will do is when you assign this additive particle, you will see this effect. Alright, where if you have multiple particle effects that are stacking on top of each other, they will start glowing. Works for the fire effect very well. Let me just play around with the colors a little bit to kind of show you this. Alright, absolutely essential to making some of particle effects look good. This additive particle is used in a lot of effects. The other effect that you want to use is a lot of our particle textures are going to be black and white. So what this means is that you can actually tint them in any color to get your particle effect in a wide variety of, well, colors. But the problem is that you can't make them black, okay, because they're additive, right? So additive materials, it's just colors adding on top of each other. So when you add colors together, you can't get black. So to get black, you've got to create a different material here. So here I'm going to create a different particle material. And this is going to be subtractive and subtractive. So subtractive materials will allow you to get black, but again you have to assign your subtractive material to your particle effect. And I forgot also to assign the default particle over here. So the additive and subtractive materials are very important for all of our guides, because these two materials allow you to access the full range of colors, and of course to allow your colors to add up or subtract from each other. Like for example, with subtractive, I can create like smoke very easily just by adjusting the alpha, the transparency of my color. If you're using URP, you have to follow the same steps, and what you want to do is just for the materials, you want to right click, create material. So for URP, the material is inside universal render pipeline, and it's inside particles and then unlit. And then what you want to do is for additive, you want to select transparent here, additive here, and then additive here. And then for subtractive materials, it will be transparent and then multiply and then subtractive. And of course you want to assign a default particle for it as well, so that the material works. So for both the built-in render pipeline as well as the universal render pipeline, you also want to make sure that your materials have two-sided check. This is because for some of our particle effects, we'll be using scale to flip them. Let me show you what I mean, alright? Just rotate the particle effect, let's say 45 degrees. So you'll see at 45 degrees, they go like that. So when I do a -1, they are supposed to flip. But this only flips if my material is two-sided, otherwise it doesn't flip. So you've got to make sure that your materials are all two-sided. And of course, why it's not flipping now is because I haven't assigned the additive material. So if you've done your material correctly, by marking them two-sided, you will be able to flip them. It's extremely important. Alright, so that's all for this video. If you're doing HDRP, then well, we may do a video in the future to help you with that. HDRP works completely differently, alright? But you can still follow our tutorials, you just gotta find a different material to assign to your clips.